Penguin Random House Audio presents The Spy Who Loved, The Secrets and Lives of Christine Granville by Clare Mulley. Read for you by Elizabeth Sastre. A few rare people who live for action are never in any doubt what they should do. For them, capture is always unbearable, and escape their only interest from the start. Aidan Crawley. In the high ranges of Secret Service work, the actual facts in many cases were in every respect equal to the most fantastic inventions of romance and melodrama. Winston Churchill. Preface. Stories of Trust and Betrayal. In 1973, 21 years after Christine Granville's tragic death, two of her lovers entered into a studiously polite and short-lived correspondence. The Polish Count Władimir Ledachowski thanked his compatriot and former fellow special agent Andrzej Kowerski for his willingness to cooperate in a book about Christine. Ledachowski wrote optimistically that he took Kowerski's cautious promise of help as a token of your trust. But there was little real trust between these old rivals, and the rest of the letter was set out in neat points, clarifying their agreed approval process for any manuscript to be written about Christine. Ledachowski had suggested that he and Kowerski set up what he called a Club of the Saved, composed exclusively of those men whose lives had been saved by Christine, several of whom, he had added with a twinkle in his eye, had been saved in more ways than one. By his tally, there were 6 potential members who had jumped into Christine's life like parachuters into unknown territory, including himself and Kowerski representing Poland, 3 British agents, including the decorated hero Francis Camer, and a French officer. Ledachowski conceded that there was little hope of weaving their experiences into a logical whole, since, "I doubt you should look to logic to explain any girl, particularly one like Christine." But perhaps, from their collective memories, Christine might emerge not as a performer of illustrious feats, but, he hoped, just as a person. Ledachowski was now surprised to learn that there was already a Christine-focused gentlemen's club in place, with a slightly different remit, and that membership had not been extended to him. Kowerski and 4 wartime friends, Camer, John Roper, Patrick Howarth, and Michael Grodowski, aka Michael Liss, had set up the Panel to Protect the Memory of Christine Granville, soon after her death in 1952. Ledachowski felt that his life had been irreconcilably intertwined with Christine's, but he had always known that he was not the only person to claim a special relationship with her, nor even the first to hope to write about her. Kowerski's panel had come together when the newspapers were having a field day with stories about the Polish beauty queen who had served as a British special agent. "We, her friends, did not want her to become a press sensation," Camer later explained. "We tried to defend her reputation." Yet, as Ledachowski's son later wrote, the death of heroes is not usually followed by panels to protect their memories and stop books about them. Several articles and biographies were quashed, but within months, another of Christine's former friends and colleagues, Bill Stanley Moss, whose daughter had been named in Christine's honour, had serialised her life for the News Weekly Picture Post, under the title Christine the Brave. Moss, who had already published an account of one of his own wartime SOE missions in the book Ill Met by Moonlight, recognised a good story and was planning a full biography and screenplay for a biopic to star Winston Churchill's actress daughter Sarah. Asked why she had chosen the role, Churchill replied, it was because Christine was her father's favourite spy, further stoking the burgeoning legend. During his research in 1953, the year after Christine died, Moss had got in touch with Ledachowski. "It is probably impossible," Ledachowski had written back, "if Christine's remarkable character is to be properly depicted. To picture her as an angel of virtue, to desexualize her. On the other hand, this rather embarrassing for Andrew situation can, in my opinion, not be reflected in your book." Moss never resolved the issues, and the project was shelved. 20 years later, Ledachowski decided to pick up the torch and was seeking Kowerski's support for his own biographical project. The last clause in the agreement between them specified that, in case of condemnation of the manuscript, the book was not to be published. Although Moss's widow, Christine's friend Zofia Tarnowska Moss, felt that Ledachowski's manuscript was written very tenderly, she was not in the club, and 4 of the 5 members of Kowerski's all-male panel rejected the draft out of hand. So outraged were they that they even appointed a lawyer ready to start a lawsuit. Ledachowski honoured his word, however, and his manuscript was never completed or published. 1. Borderlands. Perhaps appropriately for a secret agent, the deceptions and confusions that surround Christine's life start with her birth. One story has it that Christine was born at the Scarbeck family estate on a stormy spring evening in 1915, and that her arrival coincided with the appearance of Venus, the evening star in the sky. As a result, she was nicknamed Vesperale. In an even more romantic version of events, she was born in the wild borderlands between Poland and Russia, to a family that was noble, tough, used to invasions, warfare, Cossacks, bandits, and wolves. In fact, Christine arrived in the world on Friday, 1st of May, 1908. One of her father's childhood nicknames for her was Little Star, but she was born at her mother's family house on Zielna Street in central Warsaw, now the capital of Poland. Then, however, Warsaw was technically in Russia. Poland, as we know it today, was not a recognized country. Apart from a brief reappearance, courtesy of Napoleon, for more than a century, Poland had been partitioned into 3 sections, each of them subsumed into the empires of Russia, Austro-Hungary, and Prussia. Christine was born into a family of aristocratic patriots, loyal to a country that would not officially exist again until she was 10 years old. She was a small and seemingly frail baby, so frail, in fact, that her parents feared for her life, and she was hastily baptized Maria Kristina Janina Skarbeck by a local priest less than 2 weeks after her birth. 5 years later, Christine would go through the rite a second time in Vechkovice, where her parents had moved in 1913. The record of this second event has somehow survived in the local parish archive, despite a series of wars and regime changes. Written in Russian, it was dated with the Russian Julian and Polish Gregorian calendars as both the 17th and 30th of November 1913. The Church does not officially sanction second baptisms, but Christine's parents, one a rather lapsed Roman Catholic, the other a non-practicing Jew, had long wanted a more elaborate celebration of their daughter's arrival than had been possible at her birth. Their move out of Warsaw had conveniently provided a new local parish priest with whom to make arrangements. 2 certificates of baptism, 5 years apart, and showing 3 different dates, serve as notice for Christine's birth. but she has a single death certificate. Part typed, part...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?